Hey guys, welcome to this video, and I'm going to show you guys how to create a CSS, pure CSS image here, or CSS art. And there's no JavaScript. Of course, there's no JavaScript. There's no animation in it. It's just pure CSS. And if we blow it up, this is how it looks like. And the place that I got this icon is from Icon Finders. And I was looking for a Notepad icon. I was looking for another one to do a JavaScript animation tutorial on, so that's probably for later. But this is where I found the icon, so if you want to know where I got the icon from, that's where I got it. I downloaded the SVG and PNG format, and then I created the CSS code for it. So if we take a look at the inspect code here, this is all CSS, and this is what we're going to create. So I think I can select the pencil here too. So yep, there you go. I can select the pencil. That's pretty neat because just a couple of years ago, we had to, we couldn't select things that are sideways or at an angle or at a skew or transformed. So it's really neat learning how to implement all the CSS code using various tactics or strategies to create code like this. So let's get started right away. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to create a blank HTML file. And then I'm going to link up the CSS file. And then I'm going to create a few div elements to contain the outside circle, which is going to be the biggest container. Then I'm going to create the notepad, and then the individual springs, the text lines, and then finally the pencil inside the notepad. So that's kind of the order that I'm going to create this in. So let's get right into that. So I have the container, that's just personal preference. So notepad, and then spring 1, and then ring entrance. Then I'm going to copy and paste this 3 more times. So this is going to be number 2, number 3, number 4. And then I'm going to create the text lines. So text line 1 plus text line 2. And this is Emmet. So if you guys want to follow along and type in code fast, you can download the code Emmet. It's spelled E-M-M-E-T. It's a very popular extension for all text editors and IDEs. Text line 3, then text line 4. So we have 4 over here. And then we're going to create the pencil div, and I'm going to use the ID for the pencil. It doesn't really matter, but I just feel like using ID here, so personal preference. Then wood by lead. So these are just so wood by lead is this piece right over here where there is the wood that's connecting the main pencil area and the lead area. So that's the wood by lead area. Then shadow lead, and then I'm creating the shadow area separately because this area right here is a shadow. And the way that I aligned the shadow, now that I realize it, I kind of aligned it a little bit over to the right from the center. But if we think of a pencil as a hexagon that has 6 edges, this line should be more towards the center. So that's just a mistake that I kind of made. The actual image, if we zoom in across it, from the actual image that I got this idea from, if I bring up the file, if I get the actual image, it's on the right center, but I didn't do that. So if you guys want to do that, it's just a few pixel difference, so you guys can set that down later. Just make sure that you are setting it to the same pixel each and every single time, because I had to set it 1, 2, 3, and 4 times. So you have to set the width in those 4 areas. If we use Sass and if we use functions and mixins, I'm sure that we can customize it so that it's all done in one area, but I haven't done that. So so we're just using raw CSS. So it's going to be more simple to that matter. So it's going to be like this. And then I'm going to create the lid area. So the lid area is done. And then I'm going to create, so the pencil has a couple more parts. So we have the main shadow area. So this shadow area refers to the main shadow area over here. This shadow area refers to the shadow area right over here. The lead area obviously refers to the lead area down here. And then next we have to create the eraser holder. Eraser holder. This also has a shadow class to it. So this is the eraser holder right over here, this white part right over here. That connects the main pencil area and the eraser area. That's the eraser holder, which also has a shadow area. And then next we have the actual eraser. And this has a eraser length. And it has a shadow area. I think the eraser length itself has a shadow area, so put that shadow div inside there. And then we have the eraser tip area. And this one has a shadow element over here. So the eraser is divided into 2 parts because there's a straight edge and then there's a rounded edge. So there's the eraser that's the length, and then there's the eraser that's the circular area. Because I could only create a semicircle, I don't know how to create a semicircle with the length, the parallel or the vertical part towards it. So if you guys know how to do that in the comment section, please do leave a comment and I'll take a look into it. And I might use it in a future tutorial. But for this part, I had to separate out the eraser into 2 parts. So if we take a look, we have the eraser length and the eraser tip. So if you guys know how to combine those 2 together, please do leave it in the comment section below and I will take a look at it. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the HTML. So if we take a look at, I'm just going to open this in a separate browser, and then if we take a look at this with the Open Live server, this is what it looks like. It's completely empty. So now is when we get into the delicious part and we get into this styling of the CSS. So I'm just going to do a CSS reset at the very top. Padding is equal to 0. Margin is equal to 0. Box sizing is equal to border box. And then container is equal to position relative. Background is equal to ECEDF. Border radius is equal to 50%. Height is equal to 250 pixels. And width is equal to 250 pixels. So we have our little area that we're going to work with right over here. So that's the canvas or the main background area that we're going to work with, and we're going to put the notepad inside next. Notepad, and we're going to give it, we're pretty much giving everything a positioning of absolute, so it's a little bit redundant, but that's kind of how it works, and it works pretty well. So position absolute, top 50%, left 50%, and then transform, translate, this is to center it, negative 50%, and then negative 50%. Let's just see what we have here. It's still the same. Then this one's going to have a background of BDC 3C7, height of 50%, width of 37%, and then border radius of 15 pixels, box shadow of 0 pixels, 7 pixels, 0 pixels, and a color of 888. So the box shadow is basically, we want 0 blur, we want 0 towards left or right movement, and we just want to vertically move the box shadow down by 7 pixels. So that's, and then the color is 888, that's the color of the shadow right here. If we take a look at our image again, that's kind of how the box shadow looks at the bottom down here. So I'm just replicating that to make it appear similar. And now that I look at it, there is a bit of an outline here surrounding the notepad, which I haven't done, but not too big of a deal. We're just going to go as is. And by the way, I love, this is a PNG image, but I love how SVG images are improving the web with, it used to be PNG images were really good for transparency. Now SVGs are kind of taking over the web scene. So it's really good. I'm going to learn more about SVG images and how to use them to better improve the display of the website and animations. So next, now that we have the basic notepad down, we're going to create the individual springs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 springs up there. So we're going to say spring 1, spring 2, spring 3, spring 4. Then position is absolute. Top is negative 10 pixels. Let's take a look over here. Left is going to be 11%. Regarding the pixels and percent, I'm kind of switching up between those two, but it doesn't matter too much at the moment because we're not trying to resize the images. But basically, if we are, it's better to organize these in a SAS compiler so that we can change the sizes in one area, which I haven't done. So it's not pixel perfect if you rotate the ratio of the image sizes, but that's kind of what we're going with right now. So again, this is not to create images. This is mainly to learn about CSS. I highly doubt this is how most CSS images on the web are created. I think most are created using animation, and it's always good to use a little bit of JavaScript. And you know, a lot of Adobe Illustrator users out there who can create really amazing web graphics. So anyhow, we're going to stick with the pixels and percentages a little bit here. Please don't. And you're more than welcome to see how you can improve the code to make it more consistent, which is not the case with what I'm doing right now. So we have background 95 A5 A6, height of 20 pixels, width of 8 pixels, border top left radius is equal to 50 pixels, and then border top right radius is equal to 50 pixels. Okay, so we have it here. The border top left radius and the border top right radius. Actually, I think this would have been a very good way to use in the tip of the eraser because this has a length area and a tip area. So technically there's more than one ways to code this in code the pencil, but we're going to go with what we have right now. So it's going to be that, and you're more than welcome to use this part for the pencil area if you're so pleased to make a better version of the pencil graphics. So next, we're going to separate out the springs. So spring 2 is going to have a left absolute positioning of 34%. Spring 3 is going to have a left absolute positioning of 57%. Spring 4 is going to have the absolute left positioning of 80% or absolute right positioning of 20%. And then we're going to code the ring entrance, which is, if we take a look closely here, there is an area where the spring is going into the paper or into the notepad. So we're going to code that next. So ring entrance position absolute, left is equal to 0, bottom is equal to -4 pixels, background is equal to 7f8cad, height is equal to 4 pixels, width is equal to 8 pixels, and then border bottom left radius is equal to 50 pixels, and then border bottom right radius is equal to 50 pixels. The pixel amount here for the border radius for the left and right is overkill, but doesn't really matter too much as long as we have a rounded circular area at the bottom here. So that's what we have. And then next we want to create the 4 lines of text, or the 4 lines that we see here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's behind the pencil. And these are the easier parts. The pencil itself is actually the most difficult part to code. So we're going to create the text lines. So there are text line 1, text line 2, text line 3, text line 4, then position absolute, top 27%, left is 15%, height is 6 pixels, width is 70%, then background is 95A, 5A6. If we take a look here, we have a long, a very long text element. That should be shorter. Let's see why. So the width is 70%. Let's take a look, inspect this. Whoops, I had the inspect element on the other side of the screen. So if we take a look at this, 70%, it doesn't make a change. I'm just wondering if I have to have a text line inside something else. Text line, something else. Okay, I found the error, and the error is in our HTML. Our CSS is perfect. The HTML, we have to move everything down here. So all the way down to the pencil, which is this one right here. So we have to move all this, and we have to move it inside here. And that should fix it. I think it should fix it. Let's check it out. So if we organize the code here, correct tabbing. Yeah, so that's basically it. So now it's 70% of the notepad width. Now you can do it. You can do it using pixels, and you can do it using EMs or REMs. There are so many CSS units, so it's really up to you to choose which one you like using. As long as you're consistent with it and you're able to figure out ways to really strategize your code so that it maximizes the organizational display and the animation surrounding them, that's probably the best way to go. So anyhow, we're going to go back to our text lines, and we have 4 of them here. So now we're just like the springs, we're going to now vertically allocate them. So text line 2 has a top positioning of 42%. Text line 3 has a top positioning of 57%. And text line 4 has a top positioning of 72% and a width of 35%. It's going to be a little bit shorter because the pencil is in the middle of writing it. If we take a look back here, the pencil is in the middle of writing it, so it's a little bit shorter. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. And next is the most fun part, which is the pencil itself, which is about half of all the CSS code that we've written so far. I mean, that we will be writing so far. So we'll be writing another about 70, 80 lines of CSS code. So pencil. We want to create a position of absolute. Top of 15 pixels. Left of 68 pixels. Background of E67E22, a width of 26 pixels. So once again, you can use percentages. I'm just choosing to use pixels here, so it's really up to you. If you feel like you have a better control over the CSS units than me in this tutorial, then by all means choose your CSS measurement units and go with it. By no means is the way that I'm coding here the best way or the best practice possible. So if you have better ways to do it, go ahead and use it. So we have height is equal to 80 pixels. Then transform, rotate is 45 degrees. And we're going to leave this out here because it's a little confusing to think about the other elements that we're going to code inside the pencil. So we're going to do the rotation at the very last or at the very end. And then we're going to do a pencil shadow. So this is applying only, so this arrow means it's going to only apply to the shadow that's directly the child of the pencil element. So we're going to give this a position of absolute, top 0, right 0, because we want to position the shadow right towards the right area. So you can see the shadows on the right side. Then we're going to give it a color of D35400. Then we give it a height of 80 pixels and a width of 10 pixels. Then we give it a wood by lead, position absolute. So the wood by the lead is, once again, is this part here, and we're going to actually create a polygon. And the way that I created this polygon is if we go to this website, called well, it's actually this person's website, and he created this application that has grown very popular. So it's Bennett's, I think Bennett Feely, that's his name. And if you first come to this page, it's like a triangle here, but I wanted 5 edges, so I created the pentagon with the 5 edges, and I just moved around the edges over here like this, so it looks like the tip of the pencil. So I kind of copied this and I pasted it into my code. So that's where I got this from. So you can go to bennettfeely.com, Clippy. He has a lot of other applications on his website. You can check him out. He's a very good coding artist. as well. So or a front-end developer. So please do check him out. He's really good. And then, so we're going to create, I'm just going to go back to my document. So we're going to create a bottom of -15 pixels, height of 15 pixels, width of 26 pixels, border bottom of 6 pixels, solid 34495E. Then background of ECF0F1. I think I have to add the number sign right there, the pound sign. Perfect. And then we're going to do the clip path. And we should also do a WebKit clip path. I think if we add the WebKit clip path, it's supposed to work in browsers that don't. It's supposed to use it for. You're supposed to do this for older browsers. I'm not sure anymore. I'll probably have to look into that. But anyhow, we're gonna go clip path, and I'll just copy and paste it above there too in a sec. Then we're going to go polygon. 100%, 0, 100%, 40%, then 50%, 100%, then 0, and then 40%, then 0 and 0. So if we copy this and paste this, that's basically how that works. Okay, so we have the very bottom of the pencil working, and now we have to have the shadow of the wood by lead area. So we go wood by lead, then shadow, go position absolute, right, 0. Background is BDC 3C7. Height is equal to 9 pixels, and then width is equal to 10 pixels. And then we want to create an eraser holder. So we have the pencil bottom shadow area completed. Now we're going to create the same thing for the above part. If we take a look, we have the eraser holder here, and then we have the actual eraser above that. So we're creating this eraser holder area right here. So eraser holder, we go position absolute once again. Top is equal to 0. Background color is equal to ECF0F1. Width is equal to 26 pixels. Height is equal to 6 pixels. And there you go. We have the eraser holder. Now we want to create the eraser shadow. So eraser holder shadow, we go position absolute, top is equal to 0, right is equal to 0, background is equal to BDC 3C7, then width is equal to 10 pixels, and height is equal to 6 pixels. And that should work. So we have the shadow area for the right side of the eraser holder there. So now is the fun part where I'm creating the eraser length and the eraser semicircle area separately. But if you can remember, we used one element for the spring area. So if you want to use that same exact element for the eraser area, that's totally fine. But here we're going to use a clip path method. Actually, never mind. I do use the border left and the right area, the radius, same method as here. I just don't use the length area. So if you guys can figure out how to do the length part separately and add it together to one area so we can reduce the number of lines of code, you're more than welcome to do it. Here I'm just going to do it separately. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up so you guys know the proper way to do it and, you know, possible ways to truncate the code. So let's see what we have here. So eraser length, position, absolute, top is -5 pixels, background is 95A5A6, height is equal to 5 pixels, and width is equal to 26 pixels. And then you also want to create a shadow for this area, so eraser length shadow. So position absolute, top 0, right 0, background 7F8C8D, width is equal to 10 pixels, height is equal to 5 pixels, and then Z index of 6. For the Z index, you can go for a lower amount, but this is just arbitrary. As long as it's above what we had in the previous areas, you can go with it. And then we go eraser tip, position absolute, top. So for the eraser length shadow, we have the shadow area right here. So that's all completed. And now we're actually creating the eraser tip. So we're going to use the semicircle border radius area. So eraser tip is equal to top -17 pixels, because I think I forgot, I did the math on this. Is -17 pixels is the correct amount. I think I just eyeballed it, so I might just do that again. Or I've already done it, so let's go to the next line of code. So background is 95A5A6. Height is equal to 13 pixels. Width is equal to 26 pixels. And then the border top left radius is 26 pixels. And the border top right radius is also 26 pixels. And the overflow is going to be hidden because we're going to add the shadow area. I'll show you what it looks like without the hidden area. So if we don't do overflow hidden, let's see what the eraser tip area looks like. I mean the eraser tip shadow area. So tip shadow. So position is absolute. Top is equal to 0. Right is equal to 0. Background color is going to be 7F8C8D. Width is equal to 10 pixels. Height is equal to 100%. So that's what it looks like without the overflow hidden. And once we add in the overflow hidden, it all covers up. So now that we have that, we're going to go above and we're going to add back in the 45-degree tilt, which is right here. And if we don't have the top left and the position top left, top and left, this is the default area that the pencil goes in. So if we add that back in, that's where the pencil goes. So that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.